Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the massive open online course for software engineering. In this video, we will discuss about the software processes, which consist of 4 aspects. First, introduction to software process model. Second, describing the process model. The third one, outline the use of process model at the stage of requirement gathering, development, testing, and evolutions. And lastly, discussion of rational unified process model. At the end of the course, students are expected to be able to explain the software process model, able to understand the use of process model in the software development phase, and able to relate between engineering design and software development. We divided the explanation into 3 categories. First, software process model. Second, process activities. And the third one, rational unified process modeling. So what is a software process? The definition of software process is a logical and structured set of activities for specifying, designing, implementing, testing, and evolution that are required to develop software system. And what is a software process model? The software process model is an abstract representation of a process, which is a description of a process from some particular perspective. In general, software process model can be categorized into 3 types. First, the waterfall process model. Second, the incremental process model. And last one, the reuse-based process model. We start with the waterfall model. The waterfall model is an example of a plan-driven process, which means that all of the process activities must be planned and scheduled before starting any work on them. This model, it takes the fundamental process activity such as specification, design, development, testing, operation, and evaluation as a separate process phases. A few drawbacks of waterfall model are difficult to accommodate with user requirements changes. Partitioning the project into different stages makes it is difficult to respond to the changing requirement, and it is only appropriate when the requirements are well understood. The second model is the incremental development model. This model is based on the idea of developing an initial implementation, then get the user involvement and comments, and evolving it through several versions until completion. Compared to the waterfall model, the incremental model has 3 major benefits, which the cost of accommodating changing customer requirements is reduced. It is easy to get customer feedback on the development work that has been done. More rapid delivery and deployment of useful software to the customer is possible. While from the management perspective, the incremental model has 2 major problems. That is, lack of process visibility, and the system structure tend to degrading when a new increment being added. The third type of process model is reuse-based model. In the majority of software projects, there is some software reuse. They look for some similar code or design, modify and incorporate them into new system. Generally, reuse-based model consists of 2 unique stages, which is the component analysis stage, and the system design with reuse stage, while other stages such as requirements specification and validation are comparable with other software process. Now we go into depth regarding the activity of the software process. There are 4 basic process activities that we call as specification, development, validation, and evolution. The software specification or requirements engineering activity is the process of defining what services are required and what are the constraints on the system operation and development. Some of the processes involved in these activities are feasibility study, requirement elicitation and analysis, requirement specification, and requirements validation. The development activities involve the design and implementation stages. In other words, it is a process of converting the system specification into the executable system. The activities of design and implementation are closely related and may be interleaved. The most 4 common design activities are architectural, interface, component, and database. But depending on the type of system being developed, for example, real-time system require timing design but may not include database. In the verification and validation activity, it is intended to show that a system conforms to its specification and meets the requirements of the system customer. This will involve checking and review processes and conduct the system testing. System testing involves executing the system with test cases that are derived from the specification of the real data to be processed by the system. The testing process will start from the component level to system integration and ended with the user acceptance test. Lastly, in the software evolution activities, a software must inherently flexible and can change. As requirements change through changing business circumstances, the software the business must also evolve and change. The rational unified process. It is a modern process model derived from the work on the UML and associated process. Normally, RUP being described from 3 perspectives. First, a dynamic perspective that shows phases over time. Second, a static perspective that shows process activities. And lastly, a practice perspective that suggests good practice. The RUP is a phase model that identifies 4 discrete phases in the process. The RUP is a phase model that identifies 4 discrete phases in the software process. But unlike the waterfall model, the phases in RUP are more closely related to the business rather than technical concern. The RUP is a phase model that identifies 4 discrete phases in the software process. But unlike the waterfall model, the phases in RUP are more closely related to business rather than technical concerns. Thank you.